All right. The next office that we'll do is sheriff. We only have potential candidate Sheriff Krauss, not Sheriff Krauss, potential candidate Krauss. Mr. Toulon did not respond to any of our inquiries, and Mr. Zachary's did try his hardest. He does send his full regrets. He's going to try to make the Bohemia meeting on the 1st, so I encourage you to attend that. He did only have about 30 minutes in between, and we couldn't fit him in. So we're just going to hammer you, Mr. Krauss, with all our questions. So you have 3 minutes to answer them, and I think we have quite a few questions for you. No, we only have 3.
Okay.
So you do have 3 minutes to talk about yourself and your experience, and then we'll give you your questions. Oh, no, I wanted to just do that. Just in my head. Thanks, Tom.
Glad Tom's here.
Me too. Can you do this?
All right. So my name's Peter Krauss. I'm the Libertarian candidate for Suffolk County Sheriff. Now, you might wonder, what's the difference between a Democrat, a Republican, and a Libertarian? Well, a Democrat, they'll give you a fish. It probably belongs to somebody else, but they'll give it to you. And then a Republican, they'll teach you how to fish. But a Libertarian will teach you how to fish without a license. Okay? That was kind of a joke. Anyway, so, like I said, my name is Peter Krauss. I'm a Libertarian candidate for Sheriff. I'm a lifelong resident of Suffolk County. Been married to my wife for 24 years. We've been together since we graduated high school. And I'm the father of 6 children. 2 of my children are college age or above. And I have 4 younger children that are school age, and we homeschool our children. I am a Christian. I'm an outspoken Christian. I want to raise my children with a Christian worldview. So that's what I seek to do. A little bit about my work experience. I'm retired from the New York City Police Department. I was a sergeant special assignment out of the Personnel Bureau. I did my 20 years there, and I have a lot of supervisory experience, a lot of administrative experience, and I was mentored by some of the finest police executives in the world. And I'm running for sheriff because there's a culture of corruption that threatens the life and liberty and property of every resident of Suffolk County. And I'm not the one who came up with that term. That was County Executive Steve Malone who said there's a culture of corruption in Suffolk County government. And he went so far as to implicate our district attorney, Thomas Bode, as being the head of a criminal enterprise. And when I heard that, I said, well, how do you fix a culture of corruption? How do you remedy this? Well, the way to do it is obviously through our law, through the Constitution. We have the power of the grand jury. In Article 1, Section 6 of the Constitution, says the power of the grand jury is to inquire into willful misconduct of officers, public officers, shall never be suspended or impaired by law. So what does that have to do with the sheriff? Well, the sheriff, by law, historically speaking, and according to Black's Law Dictionary, is the chief executive and administrative officer of a county, and its principal duties, amongst other things, is summoning juries. So as sheriff, I see that the possibility of reining in some of this culture of corruption can happen if we, the people, are organized and come together and form grand juries, and we send out indictments down on them to make them accountable for their conduct in what they're doing in public office. And as sheriff, I will call a grand jury to investigate that type of willful misconduct. And the one thing I wanted to point out today is, in my experience in the Personnel Bureau, I know a thing or two about the statuses of people when they leave the NYPD. And what I hold in my hand right now is a Personnel Order number 323, and it shows Mr. Larry Zachary's sergeant, tax number 923397, resigned from the NYPD without permission of the police commissioner. Now, what that means for you who may not know that,
we'll give you an extra 10 seconds.
It means that he left and he forfeited his pension. And usually that only happens when somebody is under investigation for wrongdoing and facing termination. So that would be my question to him tonight, really what I would like to have asked him, and I would love to have seen him here today, because I really would like him to clear up for me why he did such a thing and resigned the way he did. Anyway, thank you. Just so that everyone knows, too, we will be sending these questions to Mr. Zachary's. He asked if he could answer them, and when I post the video, we will post his answers to the questions in the comment section online. So your first question, in your view,
what are the biggest issues facing the Sheriff's Department at this time, and how do you plan on solving them?
The biggest issues facing the Sheriff's Department, and how do I plan on solving them? Well, I'm not sure what the internal issues would be within the Sheriff's Department, but facing the public, again, as I spoke about, is this corruption that's going on in government. We have the highest taxes in the county, in the country, I'm sorry, and the worst bond rating, arguably. There is certainly things that need to be fixed with our supposed leaders. They are not leading us well, and that's the main reason why I'm running. As far as any other things going on within the Sheriff's office, I don't know that anything needs fixing yet until I'm in there.
Okay. Thank you. Our next question is, this year New York raised the age for a youthful offender to be tried as an adult for certain crimes. What plans do you have to help prevent these children from committing further crimes?
Well, the problems with youthful offenders and children committing crimes is systemic in our culture. It's a cultural problem. And I would love to see, throughout our culture, more mentoring as far as like mentoring of these youth, and so that they don't go take these paths and commit crimes. The answer isn't always in more legislation. The answer sometimes lies right in front of us and in our own family. You know, in the 60s, there was a study by Daniel Patrick Moynihan that, that indicated that the main problem that was facing, in particular the black community at that time, was a 27% fatherless rate, and the incarceration rate for them was through the roof. Well, today, all these years later, that's about the number for white families, and the black family is up in like the 70, close to 80% percentile. So we need to do something as a culture ourselves. We are responsible for how we're bringing up our children, and I'd like to see, I'd like to see no children being caught and sentenced and convicted of crimes.
Thank you. And your last question tonight, and then we'll let you off the hook. Right now, Suffolk County has many services for prisoners to reduce recidivism. Do you believe that these programs are working and should be expanded, or do you believe there are other options for reforming prisoners? If so, what are they?
I'm a firm believer in prison reform. I don't think it's very effective, the prison system that we currently have. And, who ends up in jail also is questionable, and how they end up there, time served. There's two things I could see within the prison system, and maybe alternatives that could be offered as far as it's never been thought or done before. Now, for one, like I said, I'm a Christian, I'm an outspoken Christian. I would love to offer anybody in the prison system the ability to really learn from God's word how their life should be, and that there is moral absolutes in life, and that you are answerable for your conduct after your life, and it's not just to government, but you're answerable now to God. But the other thing is there's the potential to maybe run the prison system like a boot camp, where you reform them and you train them and you discipline them in a way that they could come out and serve as more noble and maybe more beneficial to our country. Maybe put them to work in some instances as like service for our country in some way, or in our county rather.
Great. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming tonight.
I appreciate it.